Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're visiting with Verlin, who shares his insight on his Takish build, along with sharing his thoughts on this amazing game we call Landmark. Alright Verlin, tell us a little bit about your Takish build here.
Well, this was my submission into the Takish Workshop competition. The Takish being the old elven race of Norath. So everything is very elaborate and beautiful, but also very militaristic and imposing. So I took the style guide that they created, and I kind of went with it the way I wanted to.
Verlin, one of the things I notice about the game, particularly since I did these original tours, is how much the tools have changed and the building styles, techniques, and methods that people had to adapt to. What would you say were some of the challenges that you had to overcome when you were just starting compared to the tools now?
Well, I mean, the tools have come so far, so a lot of the things that I had to learn back then with reactors and things like that almost didn't even come into effect when I was building this competition as I did in the past. So when I was first learning out, a lot of my builds were pretty simple, and I had to, learn pretty advanced techniques to get to a level of build where, let's say, the Takish one is at right now. But since the tools have evolved in the past few months, this kind of build didn't require really any of the advanced reactor work at all. The techniques that had been discovered, let's say by Draconius or Fugazi, those were the ones that I've been using pretty regularly, and they don't really require anything too advanced. So it's pretty cool.
The thing that stands out about these Takish builds is the level of detail and design that people have put into them. What can you tell me about the dome that you have here on this particular build?
Well, the dome is very popular in the Takish architecture when it comes to the tops of the towers. There are whole domes on there. And then in the sides of the buildings, they use them in a quarter form. So on my build, since I had a straight edge, I used a half dome, which was not necessarily part of the style guide, but I felt it was appropriate to give it a nice, open, airy feel and let in a lot of light. Since the Takish are also stargazers, they like to look out through the ceiling and, watch the stars.
When I've watched you guys stream on these Takish builds, one of the things you guys seem to spend a lot of time on are the roofs. What can you tell me about these Takish roofs?
Well, they were really the first hurdle when everyone kind of looked at the style guide. A lot of people at the beginning gravitated towards the towers and stuff, so I felt like I should really try and nail down these roofs and really find that technique that's going to work for everyone. So I spent at least a month just doing roofs every single night. I did multiple techniques, tons of different kinds of material stacking and trim work and cutting, and in the end, this final one that I settled on, the technique was the simplest, and in my opinion, it looks the best. So I hope that through doing this via streaming, I was able to help other builders develop these roofs also.
Along with the style guide, a lot that goes into these builds too is the way the camera works with the character and snapping. And as someone who does videos, and Geo from Landmark Explorer can identify with this too, is the way the camera operates, snaps, zooms, and pops. What are your thoughts on the way the camera works as a builder?
Well, it's something that they've been stressing a lot lately in the workshop, so it's completely awakened me as to what I should be doing as a builder, because when I first came into Landmark, I was building to my character's size, and I wasn't really thinking about playing within that space. So now, over these past two workshops, I've been building much larger. I've been trying to give room for the camera to move around behind me, spin around my camera so I can observe my surroundings. So it's caused a lot of us to build a lot larger than we ever expected. So, that's one of my number one suggestions to new builders is build larger than you think.
With all the building that goes on in this game, I saw something very poignant in the forums the other day. Someone was asking a question on what brought them into Landmark. What brought you into Landmark?
Well, like a lot of people, I was on the EverQuest Next hype train. I was a little, I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to buy into Landmark at the time, but so I didn't get into the alpha. But when the first wave of emails went out for the 7-day beta keys, I got in right away. So I was on a 7-day beta key at the beginning of closed beta, and I got hooked. I was hooked on Landmark, and now I am here for the building, It's just such a great engine.
Verlin, as we wrap things up here, what else would you like to include about your build to our lovely audience?
Well, not much. I just want to, give a big thanks to the community and stuff, the Twitch community and the Landmark community for giving me their feedback on how everything looked and advice on different techniques. Definitely a big thank you to Draconius, Fugazi, and Risen Strike for spending the last waking hours with me to get the details nailed out in this build before I submit it. So without those guys, I would have been a little less impressive, I think. So thanks.
We're equally grateful that Verlin took the time in his busy schedule to give us this tour. You can catch his Twitch streams on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time till midnight. You can find all the pertinent information about Verlin in the published section below. Thanks also to all the Landmark community members for being part of my channel. And if you're new to the channel or to Landmark, be sure you're subscribed so you'll have all the latest news and information concerning Landmark.